Welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you how to evaluate the derivative of this function h. And in the directions, we're told to use either the product rule or the quotient rule. And you might be wondering, well, can't I just multiply this out and then just use my normal power rule? I mean, you could, but if you notice, h of x is a polynomial with 5 terms multiplied to another one with 4 terms. So that would be a lot of algebra to do. So rather than go through all the trouble of doing all that algebra, we're going to use, in this case, the product rule, since when we have two parentheses next to each other like this, there's a little invisible multiplication symbol right there. So we're going to use the product rule. All right, so h prime of x, that's equal to the derivative of this first part, and I'll highlight that in green. So the derivative of that first part, that's x to the fifth minus 2x to the fourth plus x cubed minus 2x minus 1. And notice I haven't taken a derivative yet. I'm just going to put a little prime symbol there. And if you're new to calculus, I would suggest you show more work rather than less in case you make a mistake. It's easier to find your mistake and easier to learn, frankly, if you show more steps. Now, rather than evaluate a derivative for the second term, and I'll highlight this one in, let's say, baby pink. Here we go. We're just going to multiply it without a derivative. So pi x cubed plus x squared plus e times x, and e is not it's not a variable representing any number. It is literally a constant. Type it in your calculator if you haven't seen this before. Minus the square root of 3. Okay, now to that we're going to add, and before I continue, I should have done this at the beginning, but remember the product rule tells us if h of x equals f of x times g of x, then h prime of x is equal to f prime times g plus f times g prime. All right, so let's continue. Now I'm going to just write down the first part in green, so x to the fifth minus 2x to the fourth plus x cubed minus 2x plus 1. And I'm going to multiply that now by the derivative of this function here in pink. So pi x cubed plus x squared plus e times x minus the square root of 3. And I'm going to put a little prime symbol and of course highlight it in that baby pink. And then before I forget, let me highlight these other terms. And I'm only going to do this on the first step so you can keep track of where everything came from. Everything green corresponds to this function. Everything pink corresponds to this function. So in this first step, we really just wrote everything out using the product rule. Now we're going to take the individual